So I've been borderline harassed to do this Jeopardy and was running a little bit late editing a video. So I figured, okay, we'll do something like this. Sports Jeopardy for today. Well, it's football. And we have 5 categories if you don't know how Jeopardy works. Basically, we have 5 different categories and 5 different questions that get harder as it goes along. And the higher the point total, the tougher the question is supposed to be in theory. We'll have to see if that ends up being the case. I'm not sure the attention to detail, considering that celebrities is not capitalized, whereas everything else starts at least with a capital letter. That's neither here nor there. But this isn't actually a Jeopardy game. It's just me going up against you guys, I guess, and we'll see how it goes. And we'll try out some of these different categories and see how many we can get. Point total is listed here at the bottom. And let's start off with celebrities. What player went on to star on Good Morning America after he ended his career? That is Texas Southern's Michael Strahan, of course, drafted by the Giants, had a very good career, holds the sack in a season record, and TJ Watt has recently tied that. But this should be Michael Strahan, and it is Michael Strahan, so that is plus 100 points. Pretty good start. We'll go to obscure stats next. Despite being in the Hall of Fame, which quarterback has thrown the most interceptions? That is quarterback, of course, by way of Southern Miss, drafted by the Falcons, went to the Packers, later Jets, Vikings. This is Brett Favre. A little Brett Favre action. Should be Brett Favre, and it is. That is 200 total points. Off to a pretty good start so far. Go to memorable plays. After narrowly avoiding a sack, Eli Manning heaved a ball to this receiver in Super Bowl XLII, who then caught it with some help from his helmet. That's got to be the helmet catch from David Tyree. A special teamer, great return man, who is now known as a receiver based on this incredible play, and it is David Tyree. So that is 300 points. Pretty easy one for me as a Giants fan, but a couple Giants ones so far. Draft for 100. In a move that shocked the country, the Eagles drafted this player over All-Pro Justin Jefferson in the 2020 NFL Draft. Shock the country feels a little bold on this one, but yeah, I think pretty much everyone at the time thought Justin Jefferson was a little bit better. Certainly a better college player than Jalen Reagor. But the answer is TCU's Jalen Reagor. And that is the one. So we're at 400 points so far. Jalen Reagor, I did not mind at TCU. The big problem was his quarterback was so terrible, could never hit him accurately. So we didn't really even get to understand that the hands could be a real issue. Trades for 100. Despite being an NFL legend, this player was traded the most times in a career. Okay. I thought maybe Randy Moss. I know Brandon Cooks has been traded a few times. Should be 3 times. Randy Moss was traded to the Raiders, traded to the Patriots. I don't know beyond that. Antonio Brown, not really traded that much. Or even at all, right? Steelers, I think he was a free agent. That's not. No, the Raiders made a move for him. Yeah, the Raiders made a move. I don't know. I'm gonna go Randy Moss, just because it feels like he would be the answer. Am I missing anyone obvious? I'm gonna go Randy Moss is what they're looking for. Eric Dickerson, traded the most times in his career. Really? Colts, Rams. I don't even know him with any other teams. He was also on the Raiders and the Falcons for a season. Was he traded? I mean, I guess he must have been, right? So he was traded to the Colts in a splash trade. And then he was traded from the Colts to the Raiders. That's 2 trades. And then the Falcons traded him. Or excuse me, the Falcons traded... No, Dickerson was traded to the Falcons. And then the Falcons traded him again to the Packers, who he never played for. Vicious. So Brandon Cooks has been traded 3 times, to the Texans, to the Rams, and to the Patriots. So I don't think Randy Moss has been traded as much as Brandon Cooks even. But I was trying to go off NFL legend. Did not know not Edwin Diaz. That's a tab in my top. Did not know Eric Dickerson was traded that often. Unfortunately, I have to go minus 100 for missing that. And we'll go back to celebrities for 200. This active NFL player got his Disney Plus show in 2021 where he recounts his Hall of Fame-worthy career. I have no idea. Should this be really obvious? Dude, I don't watch Disney Plus at all. Who got a Disney Plus show? Hall of Fame worthy career is interesting wording here. Makes me think that it's not a Hall of Famer, someone that maybe recently retired. This active NFL player. I mean, Tom Brady? I think that would make sense. Let's go Tom Brady for this one. It is Tom Brady. Should I have heard about this? I guess I haven't. It is what it is in that. Obscure stats for 200. This player has the unofficial sack record. All time? I don't know. I know it goes Bruce Smith, Reggie White. 3 might be like Kevin Green. I know Pro Football Reference has been tracking down like old sacks, because sacks were unofficial until like 1982 maybe, or 1984, one of those two, I think, or maybe even 83. But like guys like Deacon Jones, who were sack demons, they didn't actually have a sack stat for at the time. Who is the unofficial sack record? I don't think it's any of those guys. I'm going to say Deacon Jones, but don't feel great about it. It's Al Baker. I guess that's an obscure stat for 200 points. Al Baker. I have no idea who that is. Oh, so they're saying unofficial sack record in a season, by the way, which would I have got to Al Baker on that? No. He had 23 sacks as a rookie. I mean, that's pretty sick. But and they didn't have a sack total at that time. But also, question was unclear, but I would have missed it anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. Memorable plays for 200. Who made, or which player made the catch for the 49ers to send them their first ever Super Bowl? I mean, gotta be Dwight Clark, right? 49ers first, the catch had been 3. The catch 2 was Terrell Owens. Catch 3 was Vernon Davis. This should be Dwight Clark. I think he's passed away recently, unfortunately, but I think it is Dwight Clark, and it is. We get points back on the board. Yep, unfortunately passed away in 2018. I know he had some stuff going on. I can't remember if it was cancer or what, but I mean, either way. ALS, yeah, Lou Gehrig's disease, terrible stuff. Draft for 200. With what pick was Tom Brady selected? This is 199 in the 2000 draft. I answered this probably too quickly for you guys, so sorry about that. I should have lollygagged a bit to give you a little bit more time to think, but you can pause it always. But yeah, this should be pick number 199 in the 2000 draft. And yeah, it is 199th. That somehow is common knowledge. Like I guess that's draft for 200. But I mean, I guess it's just a memorable number. We'll do trades for 200. The Vikings made the biggest trade in NFL history when they traded 2 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and a third-round pick to the Cowboys for this player. It would be Georgia running back Herschel Walker. We see another huge trade like this when Mike Ditka with the Saints at that time traded everything to get Ricky Williams, hook 'em horns. But yeah, this is Herschel Walker. Ended up on the Cowboys after being in the USFL, I believe with the New Jersey Generals. And yeah, the Vikings traded everything to get him, and it did not work out. He was not nearly the player he was in college. But yeah, that is Herschel Walker. We'll take the points. We're up to 900. And did I subtract myself for Al Baker? I think I did, right? I don't know. We'll go celebrities for 300. Which player is the inspiration behind Spencer James and All-American? I know this one. This is former Giants linebacker. And I've seen, it's a horrible show. But it's like, it's one of those like guilty pleasure shows almost where it's so bad that you can't stop watching. Does that make any sense? I don't watch it anymore, but I have seen it. That is Giants linebacker. Also played for the 49ers from Compton, California, Spencer Paysinger. And yeah, he wasn't like all that great or anything, but I mean, it's a good story. Did Spencer Paysinger never play for the Niners? Why did I think that he played on the Niners also? I mean, I know him with the Giants, of course, Giants fan, and he was there for the longest time in his career. I thought for some reason that he was in the Niners for a minute. Maybe not. Or definitely not. Obscure stats for 300. In 1990, this player set the record for most sacks in a game. Double points if you can guess the sack total. I believe I know the sack total. I'm 90% sure. I think 10%, it's 8, but I think it's 7, and it is RIP Derek Thomas, Chiefs legend out of Alabama. And it is 7 for Derek Thomas. So double points, well, I'll take that. Up to 1,800. Derek Thomas was a beast. Really, really good player. Unfortunately, passed away way too soon. I think it was like some icy road car accident when he was like 31 or something like that. Really, really unfortunate. But we'll go to memorable plays. Instead of handing the ball off to one of the most dominant running backs in the league, the Seattle Seahawks opted to throw it to this receiver, where the ball ended up getting picked in the end zone by Malcolm Butler, which I don't think that's how he spells Malcolm. I think there's another L in there, to seal the Super Bowl. I think it's Ricardo Lockett, who I feel like we keep going back to this, but not RIP or anything, but unfortunately, horrible injury that forced him to retire. But I think it's Ricardo Lockett. Could it be Jermaine Kearse? I don't think so. I think it's Ricardo Lockett. Doug Baldwin might have been. I'm pretty sure it's Ricardo Lockett. That's my guess. It is Ricardo Lockett. That's just kind of one of those memorable ones where I didn't know if I just had that name in my head, and I was just missing an obvious one. But yeah, Ricardo Lockett just is memorable for that, I suppose. Draft for 300. In one of the best receiver draft classes of all time, how many receivers were taken in the first round of the 2019 draft? One of the best receiver draft classes of all time, 2019. So that is before the Justin Jefferson year. Is this just not the Hollywood Brown year where he was the only one taken? I think he was 2019 draft, right? And I think he would have been the only first-round receiver. He was definitely the first one off the board. Was N'Keal Harry also in that draft? I think he was. I'm going to say 2. I'm going to say Hollywood Brown and N'Keal Harry. Is this really a legendary, one of the best receiver draft classes of all time? Feels like a stretch. I'm going to go 2. I think it was Hollywood Brown at like 25 or 26, something very close to there, and then N'Keal Harry at like 31 or 32. It is 2. Hollywood Brown and N'Keal Harry. Is this that legendary? Am I missing like awesome big receivers in 2019? So we have Hollywood Brown, N'Keal Harry, Debo, A.J. Brown, Mecole Hardman, J.J. Arcega, Whiteside, Paris Campbell, Andy Isabella, D.K. Metcalf, Deontay Johnson. I mean, it's definitely Scary Terry. It's definitely, we were just looking at this actually for the 2019 NFL redraft video I did. I feel like calling this one of the best receiver draft classes of all time. Like, surely that's a stretch, but a bunch of really, really good players in there right now. Maybe this is just me, but I feel like that's a bit of a stretch to call it one of the best of all time. Like, especially so soon. But they are all quite good, or a lot of them are. Trades for 300. John Elway was not always with the Broncos. What team traded him there? Well, he was drafted by the Baltimore Colts out of Stanford, did not want to play for the Colts, and refused and said, I'm going to not play for you. Similar to the Eli Manning Chargers deal. But yeah, John Elway, fun fact. I did say Stanford already, but was the number 1 overall pick, I believe, in MLB. Was drafted by the Yankees, my favorite team. And I mean, I think this is the Colts for sure. Yep, Baltimore Colts. And I did say Baltimore too, that's what they were at the time. So, makes sense. We'll do celebrities for 400. This Hall of Fame running back went on to star in The Dirty Dozen. I don't know what this is. I have no idea what The Dirty Dozen is. So we'll just guess on a Hall of Fame running back. I'm going to say OJ, I think. I'm going to go OJ Simpson. Hall of Fame running back, murderer, but also was in movies and stuff before they found out that he killed people. I'm going to go OJ. Maybe this is going to be bad, but I think OJ Simpson. Jim Brown. I guess he was an actor as well. I don't think that's a horrible guess, OJ. Maybe that wouldn't be on the quiz. What is The Dirty Dozen? 1967 film with Lee Marvin. Some real famous actors in here, to be honest. But, yeah, I've never seen it. I don't know about you guys. I'm sure it's a great film. Got to call old movies films. But I haven't seen a ton of movies in the 60s. Not me. Obscure stats for 400. Which team has the record for most losses in a row? Double points if you guess the total number. All right, let's think. The teams that have gone winless in a season. We have the Lions. We have the Browns most recently. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were really bad in the 80s. You know, I went to the University of Tampa for a year and a half or so before transferring back home, and then later to Houston here. But the fun fact about that is that the Bucs were so bad that they were actually paying the University of Tampa not to have a football team so that people would go watch the Tampa Bay Bucs. That's how bad they were as an expansion team in the 80s. And they were so bad. I'm going to say it's the Bucs. I'm going to say they definitely went winless. I think they went 0-14 before it was a 16-game season. Would they have... do they have multiple of those? I'm going to say, like, 24. I'm going to say that's, like, one and then most of another. It could be fewer, could be more. I'm going to go Tampa Bay Bucs. I'll say 24 losses in a row. Wow. All right. Well, we didn't get double points, but the Bucs with 26. That's so many losses. I honestly thought I was going to shoot over it a little bit with 24, but I know they were so bad. I'll take the points for getting the Bucs, and of course it was only double points if we got the number. But yeah, I think the Bucs made the most sense. Like, the Browns obviously are bad, but it's tough to go so winless in today's NFL. But back then, I think it was a little bit more reasonable that could have happened. Memorable plays for 400. Which Titan actually received the kick on the Music City Miracle, which propelled the Titans past the AFC wildcard game? I think this is the tight end, right? I know he played a little bit of fullback too. I think we just had something to do with the Music City Miracle recently. I think it's Frank Wycheck. That's kind of like my only guess, just because I remember him making a throw. Why did we talk about Frank Wycheck recently? What was that video? I honestly don't remember. I'm going to say Frank Wycheck, though. Nope, it's Lorenzo Neal. Well, I guess I didn't even think that he was on the Titans at that time. I really only think of him with the Chargers. Great fullback. I guess I did not remember or know that he received the kick. I know Frank Wycheck gets it because he makes a throw. I'm pretty sure on that. But minus points. We'll do draft for 400. Who was the first ever Texas Longhorn to be selected with the first overall pick in the draft? You got to be kidding me. Bobby Lane was my first guess. But when was the actual NFL draft starting? It might have been after Bobby Lane. I'm thinking maybe Earl Campbell. Bobby Lane was the QB for the Lions, but he was on the team in like maybe the late 40s, 50s. And I think Earl Campbell definitely did go number 1 overall. For sure. I would bet anything on it. I'm going to say Earl Campbell. Hook 'em horns, but I guess I could buy Bobby Lane. I really think those are the only two options. I am going to say Earl Campbell because I know the draft is like, it's newer. But was Johnny Unitas drafted? He would have been late 50s, right? I know he's on the Steelers first, but was he drafted? I'm not really sure. I could see Bobby Lane. I'm going to go Earl Campbell here because the cutoff could be weird. Tommy Nobis. I take my points. Tommy Nobis was a Texas Longhorn player drafted number 1 overall in 1966. The first NFL draft was 1936. Okay, I thought it was a little bit later than that. Bobby Lane was the 3rd overall pick in 1948. And Earl Campbell was, of course, number 1 overall pick in 1978. I'm going to be honest with you. Tommy Nobis is not a name I know. Seems like he was a decent player. I just don't know who he is. Trades for 400. Who was the coach of the Saints when they traded up for Ricky Williams? That's funny. Do you guys have any idea who this could be? I literally said it earlier. It's Mike Ditka. We'll take the points on that. So, I mean, I guess there are only so many options with trades, but just the Herschel Walker trade made me think of it. But yeah, Mike Ditka. Easy. In the last row, these should all be hard. We're floating above 2,000. I'd like to get to 3,000, but it's going to be very tough because if we miss one, we're losing 500 points. But the Rams legend had a very brief acting career after he retired in which he starred in Father Murphy. Rams legend. Let's think who that could be. We have maybe Merlin Olsen, 14-time Pro Bowler, defensive lineman with those Rams team, the Fearsome Foursome. Deacon Jones could be an option too. Rams legend. Jack Youngblood, another defensive player. Could be Dick Lane, I guess. Or was he more Lions? He might have been more Lions, but I think he did play on the Rams for a minute. Yeah, I'm pretty sure on that. Quarterbacks, it's not going to be Norm Van Brocklin, maybe Vince Ferragamo. Probably not going to be another Eric Dickerson. I don't know what Father Murphy is, though. So I kind of want to go Merlin Olsen for really no reason. Just as a Rams legend who, I don't know, feels like he could have been an actor. I'll go Merlin Olsen. It is Merlin Olsen. I'll take that. He has made the most Pro Bowls of any defender of all time. I don't know if Ray Lewis has tied it. He's definitely close, but I think that's true. I've never heard of Father Murphy. That we could have gone in any number of directions there, but I think that's a pretty good guess. There he is, Merlin Olsen. I did not know he did any of this. I know he was a color commentator, but geez, I did not know he was this big time act. I should have named Roman Gabriel too. Kind of forgot about him. But yeah, I don't even remember the name of it. Father Murphy. He had his own show. Well, there you go. That's Merlin Olsen for you. I guess I'm not floored that I got that, but that would have been, that's a tough one. Obscure stats for 500. Which QB is the only player in NFL history to throw for 4,000 yards without having a 500-yard receiver? Okay, so ball distribution would have been crazy. There are some quarterbacks that definitely fit that mold. Tom Brady, surely he's not going to be the answer. 4,000 yards is a decent bit without having a 500-yard receiver. I think the Patriots makes a lot of sense because, like, there just weren't there wasn't one main guy for a lot of those teams, but there were a few. Like, obviously, like, you have your Randy Moss, you have your Gronk. But there was a window, maybe not Tom Brady. Unless it was recent. Carson Wentz, for some reason, just stuck out to my head. Because I feel like there was a stat for this. Where Carson Wentz hit like a million different receivers. If I pull Carson Wentz out of my ass here, this is going to be the most impressive thing I've probably ever done. I'm going to say Carson Wentz. I just feel like there was a stat about this. It is Carson Wentz. That is the most insane guess I've had on this, or something like this. I just remember this being a stat where people are like, oh, you think Carson Wentz is bad? He doesn't even have one 500-yard receiver. And then it's like, I guess it just stuck with me. I did not think about that initially when I saw the question. That is actually super sick. I'm stoked about that. The fact that I've killed these 500 questions so far, but missed some of these other ones is kind of frustrating. Go to memorable plays. Everyone knows Franco Harris' immaculate reception, but who was the pass originally targeted for? Oh, God. Steelers receivers at the time would have been Lynn Swann, John Stallworth, right? Those are really the only ones I can name. I'm going to go John Stallworth. I mean, Lynn Swann's famous for that, like, juggling catch. I will go John Stallworth. John Frenchie Fuqua. Well, I'm going to have to look him up. John Fuqua was a running back, played on the Steelers for a number of years. He was also in episode 31 of The Good Place. I've never heard of him, so good for him. But I don't even know if anyone's ever really talked about who the pass was originally intended for. I'm sure they have, obviously, but I was not coming up with that. Draft for 500. This is the only team who has ever taken a kicker and a punter in the first round of the draft. I know the answer to this one. I mean, this is surely the Raiders. This is Sebastian Janikowski, and punter in the first round is kind of crazy. But, I mean, I know Sebastian Janikowski was a first-round pick. The punter, maybe it's Ray Guy. I don't think Shane Leckler was a first-round pick. But I think they did spend a high pick on him. Ray Guy is like the most famous punter ever, probably. I am going to go Raiders. So I'll take my points if I get that. Double points if I guess the players. Was Shane Leckler a first-round pick? I don't think so. I'm going to go Sebastian Janikowski and Ray Guy. And it is the Raiders. Ray Guy and Sebastian Janikowski. Double points. We're over 3,500. We're at 3,800. Yeah, Shane Leckler, I know he was like higher than you'd think, but everyone talks about Sebastian Janikowski being a first-round pick, but not Shane Lechler, and it's the same era, so people would obviously talk about Shane Lechler. Shane Lechler was a 5th-round pick. I thought he was like a 2nd or 3rd for some reason. Well, he was a beast. Would have been worth it, honestly, but not a 1st, but would have been worth like a 2nd or 3rd. But yeah, 5th. I thought he was higher than that. Well, I would say this is an overwhelming success. We'll go to the last question. Name 3 of the 8 players that the Rams sent to the Chicago Cardinals in the record-breaking trade for Ollie Matson. Who is this? Well, yeah, you stumped me on this. I don't know Ollie Matson. The Chicago Cardinals is like in the 50s, right? The Rams sent to the Cardinals. Dude, I have literally no idea. I don't know that I could even get one of them. I honestly don't know that I can even have a guess. Like, we talked about some players earlier that were on the fearsome foursome with we talked about Deacon Jones and Merlin Olsen. I don't believe any of them would have been involved in a trade for Ollie Matson. And Chicago Cardinals is a long time ago. Like, you got me coming up with like 1940s Rams players. I have no idea. I'm gonna have to tap out. I literally don't think I could get it at all. Let's see. Do I know any of these guys? Ken Panfill, no. Frank Fuller, no. Glenn Holtzman, no. Art Hauser is a name that sounds familiar. Don Brown, Larry Hickman, John Tracy, Mike McGee. Congrats, you stumped me. What is that question? I don't know Ollie Matson. I don't know any of these players. Here he is, Ollie Matson. Played in the 50s on the Chicago Cardinals. Was involved, I guess, in a trade that sent him to the Rams in 1959. Is in the Hall of Fame. I don't know every Hall of Famer, so there you go. 7-time first-team All-Pro. It's pretty good. 50s All-Decade team. 50s All-Decade team, and I've never heard of him. That's tough. I mean, apparently he's just a beast. But, yeah, man, 5,000 career rushing yards and 40 touchdowns. I know it was a different time, but you don't sniff the Hall of Fame with those numbers. Yeah, good for him. This was a fun Jeopardy overall. I definitely got some really hard ones. This Carson Wentz one is an incredible pull, but I guess that is more recent history. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how I did overall. Some of these questions were pretty tough. I've never heard of anyone listed in this last one. It's just can't know everybody, but that's going to do it for me, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed watching. Hopefully you did better than me, although I think it's going to be tough. And I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.